My name is Marcus Chen, and I'm 34 years old. 5 days ago, my parents cornered me at a family dinner with 40 relatives watching, my father's Rolex glinting under the restaurant chandelier lights, and demanded I write a check for $275,000 to pay for my younger sister's wedding. "You owe this family," my father said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "You wouldn't have anything without us. Write the check or we'll make sure everyone knows what you really are." My mother leaned across the table, her Chanel earrings swaying. "Your sister deserves her dream wedding. 275 is pocket change for you. Stop being selfish and give your baby sister what she deserves." My sister Ashley sat there in her engagement ring, that cost more than most people's cars, smiling like she'd already won. I calmly pulled an envelope from my jacket, slid it across the white tablecloth, and said, "Before I write any checks, maybe you should read these papers first." My father opened it. His face went from confident to pale to absolutely white in about 5 seconds. My mother grabbed the papers, read 3 lines, and started shaking. My sister looked at them and burst into tears. 40 relatives watched in complete silence. 3 days later, my parents lost their house, their cars, and their reputation. My sister's engagement fell apart when her fiancé learned the truth. All because they demanded money I'd earned while denying money they'd stolen. Before I tell you how one envelope destroyed years of lies and manipulation, please take a moment to like and subscribe if you enjoy these stories. I'd love to know where you're watching from. Now let me tell you how financial truth became the perfect weapon. The Chen family immigrated to California in 1982. My parents, David and Linda Chen, came from Taiwan with almost nothing, and built a successful importing business over 30 years. By the time I was born in 1990, Chen International Trading was generating about $3 million annually, legitimate money from textiles, electronics, small goods shipped between Asia and American retailers. We lived in a nice house in Irvine, drove decent cars, took family vacations. Nothing extravagant, but comfortable upper middle class. My sister Ashley was born 4 years after me, and from day one, she was treated completely differently. I was the responsible one, the one who had to earn everything. Ashley was the princess who deserved everything. When I wanted a car at 16, my father made me get a job and save half. When Ashley turned 16, they bought her a brand new Honda Civic, $30,000, just handed her the keys on her birthday. When I needed money for college, they said I should apply for scholarships and loans. When Ashley went to USC 4 years later, they paid her entire tuition, $60,000 a year without her working a single hour. The message was clear. I had to earn. Ashley deserved. But here's what they didn't tell me until much later. When I was born, my grandmother, my father's mother who still lived in Taiwan, set up an education trust fund for me. $200,000, specifically designated for my college education and early career. The documents were in Chinese, the bank was in Taiwan, and my parents were listed as trustees until I turned 18. When I turned 18, they were supposed to transfer control to me. They never did. When I applied to colleges and asked about the trust fund my grandmother had mentioned in letters, my now father said, "That money's gone, business expenses, be grateful we're not charging you rent." So I worked. I got a partial scholarship to UC Berkeley, worked 30 hours a week at a tech startup doing customer service, took out $60,000 in student loans, and graduated with a degree in computer science. I moved to San Francisco, worked 80-hour weeks at a software company, lived with 3 roommates in a cramped apartment, and saved every dollar I could. By 25, I'd helped develop an app that got acquired. My share was $400,000. I paid off my loans, invested the rest, and kept working. By 30, my net worth was $1.8 million through careful investing, job hopping for better salaries, and living below my means. Meanwhile, Ashley floated through USC on my parents' money, changed majors 3 times, graduated with a communications degree she never used, and moved back home. She got a job at a boutique making $35,000 a year, spent $40,000, and my parents covered the difference. She drove a new BMW they leased for her. She carried a Gucci bag my mother bought her. She lived rent-free in their house and complained about how hard her life was. I visited monthly for family dinners, and every single time, the conversation was the same. "Marcus, you're doing so well," my mother would say, serving dinner on her expensive China Air. "Tech money must be incredible. I work hard for it," I'd reply. When are you going to help your sister? My father would ask. She wants to get her own apartment, but rent in Orange County is so expensive. I'm sure Ashley can budget better, I'd say carefully. Why are you so selfish? Ashley would chime in. You have all this money, and you won't even help your own sister. This conversation happened at least once a month for years. Then 2 years ago, Ashley met Brandon. Brandon worked in real estate, drove a Mercedes, wore Gucci loafers, and talked constantly about his deals. My parents loved him immediately. Finally, my mother said at the first dinner Brandon attended, "A successful man for our Ashley, not like Marcus who just sits at a computer." 6 months later, Brandon proposed with a 4-carat diamond ring that cost, as Ashley told everyone who would listen, $85,000. The wedding planning started immediately. Ashley wanted everything. The venue she chose was Pelican Hill Resort, where weddings started at $150,000 went up fast. She wanted 300 guests, a designer dress, a 10-piece band, flowers flown in from Ecuador, and a videographer who'd shot celebrity weddings. My mother encouraged every choice. You deserve a dream wedding, baby. This is your special day. The budget grew every week. 200,000. 225. 250. Finally settling at $275,000 total. 3 months ago, my parents called a family meeting. Not a casual dinner. A formal meeting in their dining room. We need to discuss wedding finances, my father began, sitting at the head of the table. Ashley sat to his right, already smiling. My mother sat beside her. I sat across from them, immediately suspicious. Ashley's wedding is in 4 months, my mother said. The final budget is $275,000. We've paid the deposits about $50,000, but we need help with the rest. Help from who? I asked. From you, my father said, like it was obvious. $225,000. We know you have it. You made all that tech money, you've been saving for years, you live in that tiny apartment. You can afford it? You want me to pay $225,000 for Ashley's wedding? I asked slowly. It's family, my mother said. Ashley is your sister. You owe it to her, to us. We raised you, fed you, gave you everything. Now it's time to give back. I paid for my own college, I reminded them. You paid for Ashley's. Why can't you pay for her wedding? Because we've had business troubles, my father admitted. The importing business isn't what it was. Competition from Amazon, shipping cost increases, tariffs. We don't have 225 liquid right now. But you do. And family helps family. Ashley leaned forward, her engagement ring catching the light. Marcus, this is the most important day of my life. Are you really going to ruin it because you're too selfish to help? It's not about being selfish, I said. It's about Ashley being 26 years old and expecting a $275,000 wedding she can't afford. Why not scale back? Scale back? Ashley's voice went shrill. Brandon's family is paying for the rehearsal dinner and the honeymoon. We're supposed to pay for the wedding. If we can't do it properly, they'll think we're poor. Is that what you want? To embarrass this family? I want you to have a wedding. You can actually afford, I said. You're going to help, my father said, his voice taking on that commanding tone he used in business negotiations. You're going to write a check for $225,000. We're not asking. We're telling. And if I refuse, then you're not family anymore, my mother said coldly. Simple as that. You'll be dead to us. No more dinners. No more holidays. We'll tell everyone you abandoned your sister on her wedding day. See how your precious tech friends feel about that. I stood up. I'm not writing a check tonight. I need time to think. You have 1 week, my father said. 1 week, then we need that money. Don't let us down. Marcus. I left their house that night and drove straight to my storage unit. 10 years ago when my grandmother died, she left me some boxes. Personal papers, old photos, documents from Taiwan. My parents said it was junk, nothing important, but I kept it anyway. I'd never gone through it carefully. That night, I spent 6 hours with Google Translate and my rusty Mandarin, reading through everything. That's when I found it. The original trust fund documents. $200,000 deposited in 1990 by my grandmother specifically for my education. Instructions that the money transfer to me at 18. Bank statements showing the money withdrawn in 2008, right after my 18th birthday. Transfer records showing it moved to my parents' personal account. And a notarized letter from my grandmother written in English, explicitly stating, "This money is for Marcus only." For his education and future. Not for business. Not for other purposes. Only Marcus. They'd stolen $200,000 from me. Money specifically meant for my education. Money that would have paid for Berkeley completely, and left me debt-free. Instead, I'd worked myself sick and taken on $60,000 in loans while they used my grandmother's gift for themselves. Probably to pay for Ashley's USC tuition. I photographed every document, had them professionally translated, and consulted with an attorney. This is textbook financial exploitation, the attorney said. You were a minor, the money was held in trust, they had fiduciary duty. You have grounds for a lawsuit. You'd easily win restitution plus interest, probably $350,000 to $400,000 total. But I didn't want to sue. Not yet. I wanted them to hang themselves first. So I waited. I showed up to the weekly family dinners where they increased the pressure every time. Have you thought about the money? My mother would ask before appetizers arrived. Ashley's counting on you, my father would add over entrees. Brandon's family keeps asking when our side is confirmed. Ashley would whine during dessert. I'm still thinking, I'd say each time. And each time they'd get angrier. 2 weeks ago they escalated. My father called and said, family. Dinner Saturday night. Dauncio unos Bangalore desserts. 7 p.m. Casa Bonita.int. Everyone's coming. Aunts, uncles, cousins. We're making the wedding announcement official, and discussing contributions. You need to be there. Who's everyone? I asked. 40 people. The whole extended family. Ashley wants everyone to celebrate her engagement properly. Cocktail attire. Don't be late. I knew what this was. A trap. Public pressure. Make me the villain in front of 40 relatives if I refuse. Perfect. I showed up Saturday night in a suit, carrying my leather portfolio. Casa Bonita was packed with my relatives. My parents had reserved the entire private room, 45 people total, bartenders serving drinks, appetizers circulating. My father wore his Rolex Submariner, $40,000, the one he bought last year despite claiming business troubles. My mother wore Chanel everything, her outfit probably $15,000. Ashley sparkled in Tiffany jewelry, her engagement ring plus matching earrings my parents had bought her. Brandon stood beside her looking smug in his Gucci suit. We ate dinner first. Filet mignon, lobster tail, wine flowing freely. The bill for this dinner would easily hit $8,000. But they couldn't afford Ashley's wedding. Sure. After dinner my father stood up, tapped his wine glass for attention. Thank you all for coming tonight. We're here to celebrate Ashley and Brandon's engagement and discuss the wedding plans. Everyone applauded. Ashley stood up, beaming. We're so excited. The wedding is in 4 months at Pelican Hill. 300 guests. It's going to be absolutely magical. More applause. My mother stood. We want to thank everyone who's contributing to make Ashley's dream come true. Some family members have been incredibly generous. She looked directly at me, and we're hoping everyone does their part to make this special day happen. My father picked up the thread. The total wedding budget is $275,000. Linda and I have contributed what we can, but we need additional family support. Specifically, we're asking those who are in a position to help to step up. It's what family does. 40 pairs of eyes turned to me. Everyone knew I was the tech guy with money. My uncle Peter spoke up. Marcus, you've done well for yourself. Are you helping with your sister's wedding? Before I could answer, my father jumped in. That's what we're discussing tonight. Marcus has been hesitant, but we're confident he'll do the right thing. He owes this family everything. We raised him, supported him, gave him opportunities. Now it's time to give back. How much are you asking Marcus for? My Aunt Susan asked. $225,000, my mother said casually, like it was nothing. We've covered 50 in deposits. Brandon's family is handling the rehearsal dinner and honeymoon. We just need Marcus to cover the main wedding costs. It's not unreasonable given his success. Murmurs spread through the room. Some supportive. Nods. Some uncomfortable shifting. That's a lot of money, my Uncle James said carefully. Marcus works hard for his money, and we worked hard raising him, my father shot back. He wouldn't have anything without us. Without the values we instilled, the education we provided, the support we gave him. $225,000 is nothing compared to what we invested in him. Actually, I said, standing up, let's talk about investments. Since we're being so public about financial contributions, Let's be specific about what everyone invested in me. The room went quiet. My father's face tightened. Marcus, don't do this now. Just commit to helping your sister and we can discuss details privately. No, I said, you made this public, that way. You invited 40 relatives to pressure me. So let's have a public conversation about money and family obligations. I pulled out the envelope. Before we discuss what I owe you, let's discuss what you owe me. If you've ever been pressured by family to pay for something that wasn't your responsibility, if you've ever been the family member expected to fund everyone else's dreams, leave a comment below. And subscribe if you want to see how documentation and truth can flip a trap into justice. Because what happened next was absolutely perfect. I opened my portfolio and pulled out copies of documents. 40 copies, pre-prepared. I started passing them around the table. What is this? My mother asked, her voice rising. This is the truth about investments and family obligations, I said. Let me walk everyone through what's in your hands. In 1990, my grandmother established a trust fund for my education. $200,000. The documents are right there. Page 1. You can see the bank statements from Taiwan, the deposit, the official trust paperwork. My grandmother wrote in English very clearly that this money was for Marcus only. For education and future. Not for business. Not for other purposes. Only Marcus. I paused, letting everyone read. Page 2 shows what happened in 2008. 3 months after my 18th birthday, when control was supposed to transfer to me, the entire $200,000 was withdrawn. Not by me. By David and Linda Chen. My parents. My father's face was red. Marcus, stop this right now. Page 3 shows where that money went. Transferred directly to your personal account. And if you look at page 4, you'll see this perfectly aligns with Ashley starting at USC. $60,000 annual tuition. Paid in full. Using my education fund. Money my grandmother specifically designated for me. The room was dead silent except for papers rustling. My mother tried to interject. That money was family money. We made decisions for the family. That money was my money, I corrected. From my grandmother to me. You were trustees with fiduciary duty. Instead, you stole it. You let me work 30 hours a week through college. You let me take on $60,000 in student loans. You watched me eat ramen and stress about tuition while you used my $200,000 to pay for Ashley's sorority dues and spring break trips. Ashley spoke up, her voice shaking. I didn't know about this. I didn't know Grandma left money for you. Of course you didn't know, I said, because they never told you. They let you grow up thinking everything you got was because you deserved it. But the truth is, you got opportunities paid for with money stolen from me. I looked around the room. So when my parents say I owe them $225,000, me do the math. $200,000 stolen in 2008. 17 years of compound interest at a conservative 5%. That's approximately $340,000. I'm actually owed. My Uncle Peter was reading the documents carefully. David, is this true? Did you take Marcus's trust fund? It's more complicated than Marcus is making it sound, my father blustered. Family finances are complicated. We made decisions for the good of everyone. You made decisions that benefited Ashley and screwed me, I said. You paid for her entire college education with money, meant for mine. Then you gaslit me for 10 years about being selfish for not funding her lifestyle. My Aunt Susan spoke up. Linda, I remember you talking about Ashley's USC tuition. You said it was hard, but you were managing. You never mentioned using Marcus's money. We didn't use his money, my mother insisted. It was family money. A family trust. Page 5, I said, is my grandmother's notarized letter. Written in English specifically so there'd be no confusion. Let me read it aloud. This trust is for Marcus Chen only. I have worked hard to save this money for my grandson's education. David and Linda are trustees only until Marcus turns 18. After that, Marcus controls these funds. This money is not for business expenses. Not for David's company. Not for other children. Only for Marcus's education and future. I trust David and Linda will honor this wish. Signed and notarized in 1989. The room was absolutely silent. You stole from your own son, my Uncle Peter said slowly, to pay for your daughter's luxury college experience. It wasn't stealing, my father said desperately. We raised Marcus. We fed him, clothed him, housed him. We took that into account when making financial decisions. You did the bare minimum required by law for a child you chose to have, I said. You're not owed repayment for food and shelter. That's called being a parent. And you certainly don't get to steal a trust fund as reimbursement. Brandon, Ashley's fiancé, spoke up for the first time. Ashley, did you know about any of this? No, she said, crying. Now. I swear I didn't know. Your parents asked me to pay $225,000 for your wedding, Brandon said, his voice hard. They said it was tradition, that their family pays for weddings. They never mentioned stealing money from their son to pay for your life. We didn't steal, my mother insisted. We borrowed. We were going to pay Marcus back. It's been 17 years, I said. You've never mentioned paying me back. In fact, you've spent the last 3 months demanding I give you more money. That's not borrowing. That's theft and then demanding the victim pay you again. My cousin Jennifer, who's an attorney, held up the documents. Marcus, have you consulted with a lawyer about this? Yes, I said. 3 different attorneys, actually. All confirmed I have grounds for a lawsuit. I'd easily win restitution of the original $200,000 plus 17 years of compound interest, plus potentially punitive damages for breach of fiduciary duty. Total recovery would be somewhere between $400,000 and $500,000, depending on how aggressive I wanted to be. You're going to sue us? My father asked, his voice breaking. Your own parents? You stole from me, I said simply. You let me struggle through college. You let me go into debt. You watched me work myself sick while using money that was rightfully mine to fund Ashley's sorority parties. Then you had the audacity to demand I give you even more money. So yes, I'm considering legal action. Marcus, please, my mother said, crying now. We made mistakes. But we're still family. Don't destroy this family over money. You destroyed this family when you stole from your son, my Aunt Susan said sharply. Linda, I can't believe you did this. We need to discuss this privately, my father said, standing up. This isn't appropriate for a family gathering. You made it appropriate, I said. You invited 40 people specifically to pressure me into paying for a wedding I don't owe. You weaponized family obligation. So now everyone knows the truth. The reason I'm not paying for Ashley's wedding isn't because I'm selfish. It's because you already took more than enough for me. $225,000 for a wedding? You stole $340,000 from me. You're in debt to me, not the other way around. Brandon stood up. Ashley, we need to talk. Outside. Now. They left the private room. Through the window I could see them arguing, Ashley crying, Brandon gesturing angrily. My relatives were reading the documents, passing them around, whispering to each other. My parents sat at the head of the table looking like their world was collapsing. Because it was. What happens now? My Uncle James asked me. Now I do what I should have done when I first found these documents, I said. I file a lawsuit for recovery of stolen funds. I report the breach of fiduciary duty. And I let the courts decide what I'm owed. Marcus, wait, my father said desperately, let's talk. Work something out. We can repay you over time. You had 17 years to repay me, I said. You had 3 months of demanding I pay for Ashley's wedding to maybe mention you owed me money first. You made your choices. Now deal with the consequences. I gathered my things. Thank you all for coming tonight. I know this wasn't the celebration my parents planned. But I'm glad everyone finally knows the truth. I'm not the selfish son who won't help his family. I'm the son who got robbed and he is finally standing up for himself. I walked out of that restaurant, leaving 40 shocked relatives and 2 devastated parents behind. My phone started ringing before I reached my car. I ignored every call. 3 days later, things started falling apart for them. Brandon called off the engagement. His parents had done research after the dinner, probably called relatives who were there, and learned about the stolen trust fund. They didn't want their son marrying into a family with that kind of ethical issues. Ashley was devastated, but honestly, Brandon was probably looking for an exit anyway. A man who proposes with an $85,000 ring but expects his in-laws to pay $275,000 for. The wedding wasn't exactly marriage material. The extended family took sides. My Aunt Susan stopped talking to my parents entirely. My Uncle Peter called my father and told him to make things right or be cut off. My cousins reached out to me with support. The family gossip network spread the story across every Chen family chat and gathering. My parents' reputation was destroyed. But the consequences got worse. My father's business, which was already struggling, got hit with a tax audit. Turns out when 40 people learn you stole from your son, someone reports it to authorities. The IRS started looking at whether that $200,000 trust fund withdrawal was properly reported and taxed. It wasn't. Penalties and back taxes started piling up. My mother's social circle, the Irvine Chinese community where reputation is everything, heard the story. Invitations dried up. Friends stopped calling. Other parents didn't want their families associated with people who stole from their own child. My parents had leveraged their house to pay for Ashley's engagement party and wedding deposits. $50,000 down on a wedding that was never happening. They couldn't get deposits back. Vendors have strict no-refund policies. With business troubles and tax penalties hitting, they couldn't make the mortgage payments. They put the house on the market. Ashley moved back home, then realized home was being sold. She ended up moving in with a friend, working full-time at the boutique. No longer the princess with everything paid for. My mother called me 18 times in 3 days. I didn't answer. My father sent emails ranging from angry to pleading. I didn't respond. Finally, my Uncle Peter called. "Marcus, your parents want to meet. They want to apologize and discuss repayment. Will you hear them out? They stole from me for 17 years, I said. They gaslit me. They demanded more money. Why should I give them a chance? Because they're drowning, Peter said. It was wrong. But they're losing everything. The house, the business, their reputation. Maybe you let them grovel a little before you completely destroy them. I thought about it. One meeting, Jianqiu. One chance. But I'm recording everything, and if they try to manipulate me again, I'm filing the lawsuit immediately. We met at a coffee shop. Neutral territory. Public place. My parents looked awful. My father had aged 10 years in 3 days. My mother's eyes were red from crying. Marcus, my father began, his voice hoarse. We're sorry. We're so sorry for everything. For taking your trust fund. For not telling you. For letting you struggle through college when we had your money. For demanding you pay for Ashley's wedding. We were wrong about all of it. My mother reached across the table. We convinced ourselves it was family money. That we were making good decisions for everyone. But we were lying to ourselves. We stole from you. We know that now. And we're devastated by what we did. Why? I asked. Why did you do it? Why take my money and then treat me like I was selfish? Because Ashley was easier, my father admitted. You were always independent, always working hard, always figuring things out. Ashley needed help constantly. She was our baby. We wanted to give her everything. We convinced ourselves you'd be fine without the trust fund because you were smart and capable. We were wrong. We took advantage of your strength and rewarded her weakness. We ruined her too, my mother added. We created a daughter who thinks she deserves everything without earning it. She's 26 and has no idea how to function independently. We failed both of you. What do you want from me now? I asked. Forgiveness we don't deserve, my father said. And if you're willing, a repayment plan. We'll pay back the $200,000 plus interest. It'll take years, maybe decades, but we'll do it. We'll put it in writing, make it legally binding. We'll sell the house, downsize, cut all unnecessary expenses. We'll make this right. What about Ashley's wedding? I asked. There is no wedding, my mother said. And honestly, it's for the best. That wedding was about image, not love. We were encouraging Ashley to make the same mistakes we made. Caring more about appearances than reality. I looked at the documents I'd brought. Settlement offer drafted by my attorney. I slid it across the table. $340,000 totaled. The original $200,000 plus 17 years of compound interest at 5%. Payment plan over 10 years. Legally binding contract with penalties for missed payments. You sell the house, downsize, and make monthly payments. Miss 3 payments and I can accelerate the full amount, and place a line on any assets. My father read it, his hands shaking. We'll sign it. Today. Whatever you need. One more thing, I said. Ashley. You tell her the truth. All of it. You explain that you stole from me, that you created a dynamic where she got everything and I got nothing, and that it wasn't her fault, but she needs to understand reality now. We'll tell her, my mother promised. We'll be honest with her about everything. She deserves to know the truth too. They signed the settlement that day. Notarized, legally binding, registered with the court. They sold their house within a month and moved into a small 2-bedroom apartment. My father took on consulting work to supplement his failing business. My mother got a job for the first time in 30 years. Ashley got therapy, started working on her issues with entitlement, slowly began building a real life instead of an Instagram-ready fake one. The first payment arrived. On schedule. $3,000. 119 more payments to go. But they were trying. My Aunt Susan told me my mother cried for an hour after making that first payment. Not because of the money, but because it was the first step toward making things right. I didn't forgive them immediately. Forgiveness isn't a light switch. But I respected that they were finally being honest. Finally accepting consequences. Finally treating me like I mattered. 6 months later, Ashley called me. Marcus, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry for all of it. I didn't know about the trust fund, but I should have questioned why I got everything and you got nothing. I should have wondered why you worked so hard while I had everything handed to me. I was willfully blind because it benefited me. That was wrong. You didn't owe me anything. Especially not a $275,000 wedding. I'm embarrassed I expected that. Thank you for saying that, I told her. Are you doing okay? I'm working full-time. I'm in therapy. I'm learning to live within my means. It's hard. It's really hard. But I'm realizing Mom and Dad didn't do me any favors by giving me everything. They crippled me. I'm 27 years old and I'm just now learning basic adulting skills you learned at 16. We talked for 2 hours that day. The first real conversation we'd had in years. Maybe ever. She told me about therapy, about realizing how much her identity was built on being Daddy's princess, about the panic when that all went away. I told her about the years of feeling invisible, about working 80-hour weeks, about the resentment I'd carried. We both cried. It didn't fix everything, but it was a start. Family isn't about blood or obligation. It's about respect, honesty, and treating each other like we matter. Sometimes it takes losing everything to finally understand that. Today I'm still in San Francisco, still working in tech, still investing carefully. I'm dating someone I met at a coffee shop who thinks my Honda Civic is perfectly fine and doesn't care about my bank account. My parents make their monthly payments, never miss one. Ashley's engaged again, this time to a teacher she met at her therapy group. Their wedding will cost $5,000 in a park. She's paying for it herself and she's proud of that. My parents asked if they could attend. I said yes. The money was never really about the money. It was about being seen, being valued, being treated like I mattered as much as my sister did. The papers I handed them that night at the restaurant weren't revenge. They were truth. And truth, when it's been buried for 17 years, hits harder than any lawsuit ever could. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever been the family member expected to fund everyone else while your own struggles were ignored, leave a comment sharing your experience. Consider subscribing if you believe in standing up for yourself with documentation and facts, and demanding respect from people who should have given it freely. Share this with someone who needs to hear that you don't owe family members money just because you are successful. Your success is yours. You earned it. And no one, not even family, gets to steal it and then demand more. Remember, documentation is power. Truth is a weapon. And sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's just making sure everyone finally knows what really happened. Stand firm in your worth. Demand respect, and never let anyone, especially family, make you feel guilty for refusing to fund their dysfunction. You don't owe them anything beyond basic human decency. And if they stole from you first, you don't even owe them that.